Hey everybody, good afternoon. Just had a few minutes here, and I wanted to take a little bit of time to do a little YouTube video on a couple things I've been thinking about. And one of the things I've been trying to do with this, I know a lot of the comments that I get on my channel, a lot of people are asking for tips for different fishing tips, and obviously this is something that there's a never-ending stream of tips that you can use in fishing because there's so many variables in bass fishing, both controlled and uncontrolled variables, that it just can go on and on and on, and it's always evolving and always changing. But when people ask, like, what do you think is the key to becoming a better bass fisherman, or what's the best bait you can use, that type of thing? One of the things that I like to share with you is the importance of confidence in your fishing. And it sounds simple, but it's not. It's the same. It is, confidence is an abstract term. It's something that you can't really define what causes it or what undermines it or what gives it momentum. And it's something you can't fake. You cannot fake confidence, particularly in bass fishing. But you can help build confidence, is the thing about it. And the reason confidence is so critical in fishing, and I'll apply it like right now just to, like how you're fishing, your technique and your lures, is the fact that confidence will allow you to focus. And probably one of the things that is the most important aspect of fishing is that the mental part of it goes into much more beyond just what is mental. It goes into things that are much deeper than that. And for example, when you're out fishing, how many times have you been fishing and you've been fishing along there and say you're not catching much, and you just feel like you're casting? You feel like you're going through the motions, and you, like each cast, you don't really feel like you could catch one. Anytime you get into a situation like that, it's time to move. It's time to change techniques. It's time to change your approach. It's time to change the areas that you're fishing. And that's what I'm saying about those subtle changes like that can sometimes make the difference. But what confidence does and it doesn't make any difference if you're fishing a tournament or if you're fishing for fun, is if you get on a bait you start catching a few fish on a certain bait, or maybe a bait that a lot of people are using, but you've got a certain color that you've got a lot of confidence in. It could be something as simple as like a green pumpkin zoom trick worm that everybody uses, but you dyed the tail red on it, and you feel like that red tail for some reason makes all the difference in the world. And what happens is when you get keyed in on a bait like that that's working, and you start catching some more fish, that actually, you have a mental shift that takes place when that is, and every cast that you make is a lot more intense. It's a lot more focused. And the more that focused you are and the more intense that you are, the more aware that you are. And that awareness is the whole key in bass fishing. Awareness is everything, because once your awareness is at a high level, you can capitalize on everything that's coming your way. You can capitalize on weather changes. You can capitalize on the personality and the mood of the fish. You can capitalize on any external changes that may be taking place, in the water, current, water, clarity, wind, whatever like that. And the more aware that you become, that's when you can use that awareness to make adjustments that you need, or get you pointed into the right direction. And so when you go back to confidence, it's like, how do you create confidence? I mean, what is it? Is it something that I can go out every day and get confident in? And it's not, because back to what I said earlier, you can't fake confidence. Confidence is something that you have or that you don't have. But there are some things that you can do to help yourself along with that. And a couple tips I want to give you on that is that, first of all, you need to realize if you're out there having a bad day, just tell yourself, because it's true, that the fish are always biting somewhere. Tournaments prove that. It doesn't matter how tough the conditions are, people always catch them really good. So the fish are always biting. They're always going to strike, whatever that reflex strike may be. It could be hunger, it can be out of reflex, curiosity, whatever. But the fish are always biting. So tell yourself that if something's not working, the fish are biting. It's just a matter for me, to make the right decisions and the right moves and the right choices that particular day. And along with that, along with telling yourself that the fish are always biting, if something's not working, don't be afraid to make a change. Don't be afraid to change your areas, your technique, your angle, your colors, your baits. Experiment until you find on something that's working. And thirdly, on top of that, is that realize that there's always more than one thing working out there. There's always a dozen different patterns that work. If you look at a tournament result, and like I said, I refer back to tournaments a lot because they're the purest form of information you can get. There's always somebody that does well in a tournament doing something different. Doesn't matter what, it can be different. Way off, something off the wall. It can be a little modification. It can be somebody that's fishing around a lot of other people, but they've hit on something that actually is triggering a few more strikes. But just tell yourself that there's always more than one way to catch them. And once you find something that's working, once you find something that's producing bites that are getting quality, quantity, or some level of combination of the two, that is really when your confidence begins to build. This, particularly if it's something that you don't feel like a lot of other people are doing, and a lot of people try to talk themselves into that. It's like, well, you hear it all the time. Say, well, yeah, I'm doing something a little bit different, and that may or may not be true. But what is true is if you believe that, because if you believe that what you're doing is a little bit different, that gets back again to increasing your awareness, increasing your confidence, and increasing the focus that you have on the water. And that is that little bit of difference, because there's a big difference between going out there, say we're fishing grass beds out in open water where you can fan cast in a 360-degree direction. There's a big difference between one angler that just goes out there and mindlessly casts everywhere and reels back in, and the other angler that feels like they've hit on the right speed of retrieve, the right angle, the right color, whatever. So you can have two people doing the exact same thing, but you have two different mindsets. The mental aspect of how they're seeing the day unfolding like that. So anyway, like I said, try to do some things to get confidence going in your direction. Experiment. Once you hit on something that's a little bit different, try to run with that, and just keep an open mind with that. And once you get that confidence, that's going to be the most important lure that you have in your tackle box. And you'll find that like I said, lures are just tools, and the real key to having those awesome days on the water all lies with how you mentally approach the day and how you mentally perceive everything going. So I hope everybody's doing good, and thanks for tuning into the channel, and we'll talk to you later.